Business is made possible by our partners, Solar Dynamics, the most efficient energy systems.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The People's Business. I'm your host, Shane Seeley. Always good to be with you at this time on a Sunday evening to have those conversations that you want to hear. And it is so nice we had to do it twice, insurance and you. We had many calls flooding our lines last week, and we expect much of the same this week as we delve into some of the other matters facing many of you and the insurance industry. It's all about making that connection with you, our audience. And that's why we have back with us tonight Randy Graham, the president of the General Insurance Association of Barbados. We also have David Alleyne and Anton, Lovell, directors with the organization. Stick around. This is expected to be a very interesting and robust conversation tonight. So a lot more coming your way on The People's Business right here on CBC TV8. We'll be back in a moment. Back with you on The People's Business. We will start the discussion shortly. Just remember those numbers to call: 228-5562, 228-5563. I know that you may have to wait on the phone line sometimes. Just be patient. And also, when you're calling in to us, please listen to the telephone and not your television set, so that we can have a clear and concise conversation and get those questions, and hopefully we can get some answers for you. Of course, we have Randy Graham, the president of the GIAB, Anton, Lovell, and David Alleyne. They're directors with the association. Good to have you gentlemen back. I know you must have been busy over the past week or so, fielding more questions and just preparing to come back on the show. As I said, we needed to do a part 2 to get the information out to the public. So again, thank you for your time. Randy, I'm going to come straight to you. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these insurance premium trends, some of what you've been seeing over the last few years, over the last decade, because I know you went as far back as that last week. Talk to us about some of these historical premium trends from motor. Of course, there's property and marine insurance as well, something that we'll get into tonight.
Thanks, Shane, and good night to you and good night to the viewers. So we're talking about insurance premium trends. I think last week we had a number of questions about the cost of insurance. And look, like I said last week, we understand it. Insurance is an intangible expense. You're paying something today in the form of a premium for a promise to pay if you have damage. And of course, we don't know when that's going to happen. So none of us know when we're going to have the accident on our car. None of us know when there's going to be the hurricane or the earthquake. So it's difficult sometimes to realize insurance as a viable expense unless we actually have the claim. And so we understand it's a touchy topic. It's a sensitive issue, but it's one that's absolutely, we think, necessary if you want to protect your investments. Now, last week we spoke about the premium trends, and on the property side, the reference was made to the historical premium. So what we were saying is that if you had a house insured for $100,000 back in 2008, that may have cost you $600 a year. This year or last year, if you had that same house insured for the same $100,000, that might be $400 or $500. So the premium over the years have come down in insurance. It's a similar situation for the vehicle insurance. So if your vehicle is insured for $2,000 in the first year, you get a 10% discount next year if you don't have accidents, and then another further discount. So you may pay $1,800 next year and $1,600 the following year, to the point where you get your maximum no claim discount. Now, when you get your maximum no claim discount, your premium may be $1,000. And you will say, I have not had an accident, but my premium does not go down. I get no more discount. Not that you don't get any more discount, is that you are at the maximum discount and you're paying the minimum premium that you can pay for the insurance policy. And that's what you will get at your renewal notice going forward. So it's not that your discount stops, it's that you get to a maximum, and that's the lowest premium that we can charge. So we as a sector are not saying to anyone that you should or should be able to pay for your insurance $100 or $200 a month. What we are saying is that $100 or $200 a month, we think, is a reasonable expense to pay for the protection that if your car gets damaged, we give you a replacement or repair the car. And if your house gets damaged, you get $100,000, $200,000 to repair your house. That is we think, a reasonable switch for paying the premium that is charged, which could be $100 or $200 a month.
Okay, so on the property side of things, the problem I guess some people had, and I got a few callers as well questioning those stats, is that a lot of them are saying my house appreciates sometimes annually or biannually. When you get that assessment done, it may have been valued at $100,000 in that first year, but the time by year 5, the value of the property increases, the value of the house itself increases, something that you don't get on the motor insurance side. So then they may be caught up paying a bit more because of the value. So
yeah.
when you were saying that the price came down, what you're paying for that house at the same value came down, I guess that is where some of the question marks were. How do you respond to that?
No, it's a fair assessment. So the way insurance on property is charged, it's a rate per $1,000 of value. So what we are saying is that in 2008, that rate per $1,000 of value on average may have been $6. In 2020, that rate was $4 or $5 per thousand. So the rate per thousand has come down. So if your value remained the same, your premium will remain the same. And not everybody changes their value. David will speak about that later. But not everybody changes the value on their property year on year. So if your property value remained the same, you would have seen a reduction in your premium. If you increase your property value, then yes, your premium would have increased by the dollar amount, but the rate per thousand still had a reduction, and that's the point that we're making. So those persons who did not move their value would have seen a reduction. Those persons who increased their value may have paid more of a dollar amount, but the rate per thousand was still cheaper in Barbados.
Okay, it's good that you can clear that up, Randy. So let me come to you straight away, David. On this property side of things, should Barbadians be satisfied with what they're getting from local insurance providers?
Well, good night, Shane, and thanks for having us again. I just want to make a little comment about what Randy was talking in terms of the motor and what the coverage is. What I think that most people do not really realize is that the insurance policy, if you have a comprehensive policy or a third-party policy, is actually covering liability. And that liability by the Act is $10 million in terms of a person and $30 million for an incident. So it's quite a bit of money that the insurance company has to pay in terms of an incident. And that is covered under the premium that's paid. To go to your question on property, I think that insurers over the years have tried their best to get the best terms and conditions from reinsurers. We have to reinsure. We explained last time that the balance sheet of insurance companies is not large enough to be able to take the accumulation of sums insured that we write. So we have to reinsure. Those reinsurers are global companies, very, very big global companies. In a sense, in a very real sense, we are price takers. We cannot influence the cost of that reinsurance. And that translates into the insurance premium that we then pass on to people. When you have a hurricane or a fire, insurance companies are then able to provide full coverage on those losses, not only because of their balance sheet, but because of balance sheets of companies across the globe.
sounds like what we are doing as far as imports go, as we're price takers on the imports as well. So then we end up paying whatever is the increase on the local side of things. So that's a conversation for another time. But let me come to you very quickly, Anton, because I know that, and the callers are already there waiting with their questions for you guys. Anton, you have some new information for us in terms of what is pushing up the price on your end as well. Share that information with our viewers.
Hi, good night, Shane. Good night to your viewers. Well, quickly, just let me clarify or give you some information on what we go through and from the motor side. When the president announced a couple of weeks ago that the price of insurance, the rates are going up marginally, I smiled when people were all alarmed. For example, what we have faced now in recent times. Let's take the garages. We are very concerned right now that the garages, the motor garages, are no longer stocking adequate parts. And when we have to request parts now from them to come into Barbados, the cost goes up 275%. It's really ridiculous. For example, a bumper recently for $775 was not in stock. We asked to get it imported into the island. That price went up to over $2,700 something dollars. So as you see the increase, I don't know if it's the frequency of accidents that causing the garages not to stock the parts, but that is very concerning because almost on every occasion when estimates are done, parts are not available. And as I said, to import these parts, the price goes up over 275%. And then we look at the two cars getting in accidents, okay, but then there are injury claims to persons, passengers also within the vehicles. And again, new developments, before you can get a medical report for $750. Now, that same medical report costing now $1,500, $2,500 for medical report. Again, that's interesting. Physiotherapists, we're recognizing the trend now too. Before, initially, when you go for a physiotherapist for a visit or for an assessment, they ask, okay, well, six sessions perhaps can get this person back to their pre-accident condition. Now, we are saying as much as 12 sessions being requested, and the price moved from $90 to $120. So these things we are facing. Another new development is this our MRI. Every person now wants an MRI. If you hurt your finger, you want an MRI. And these MRIs cost in the industry $3,000 and over. You see, so we are bombarded by increased costs, which we cannot sustain no longer. The 15 years, as the president mentioned, that the rates were very stable, but now with all these increasing costs, we really have to pass on a marginal increase to the insurance public.
I guess how you put it, when you hear those increasing costs, you should be thankful that the increase is marginal. I have to ask though, what kind of car was it that the bumper increased from $700 and something dollars to over $2,000?
No, I wouldn't say. We call it.
We can't know the brand of the car.
I'll target the garage. No, almost all the garages. Almost all the garages, not stocking parts, a real concern. When you have to import these parts, the prices go up dramatically. As I said, over 250% on most occasions. And again, we in the insurance industry have to bear these costs.
I have to wait for that answer off air though. Let's go straight to the phone lines. We have our callers waiting already. 228-556, 228-563, the number to call if you want to join us here on The People's Business as we talk about insurance and you. Good night, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
All right, my question is, if you trade a house insurance for 40 or 50 years, you become old, you're a pensioner, all right, you ain't able to insure that insurance and anymore, and it has to lapse. You are working, you have a disability. What would happen to you? And your money gone, those dreadful all those years.
Okay, Randy, I'll give you the opportunity to handle that as you started off on the property side of things.
Yeah, sure. Shane, it's a very unfortunate and difficult circumstance. I mean, I understand the caller's situation there. The last time we've had a major hurricane in Barbados was 1955 with Hurricane Janet. And for someone to be paying insurance for 40, 50 years in Barbados without a hurricane, and then for whatever reason, the circumstances are such that they can't continue to pay the premium, and then there's a hurricane, there's no cover on the property. Now, I would say that the challenge is that we never know when something will occur. We simply do not know when it's going to be a hurricane. We simply do not know when it's going to be an earthquake. Some people go 40 years without making a claim. Some people insure a property or a car one day, but the end of the month, they're making a claim. It's a difficult circumstance. What I would say to the caller is that we do not want anyone who willingly and wants to have insurance on their property in Barbados to go without insurance. And I would encourage that person or any person in similar circumstances to reach out to the insurance company. Let's see if there's a way that we can get a payment scheme in place to keep cover on the property, because it is heartbreaking to have those type of circumstances, and we want to find some way to help to make sure that insurance is kept on the property.
Okay, we have another caller before we go to the first break of the night. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question? Or do you have a comment?
Good night, Shane, to you on the panel, especially Randy. Randy, is your father still alive? I don't worry him at Shell, I know you from a little boy. Play cricket against you at Sagicor.
Good to hear.
Pardon?
I said that's good to hear. I'm not much of a cricketer anymore, but...
I'll be calling to ask last week about the incentive that you get.
Yeah,
you don't get any accident. Right, but
yeah, that's right.
You got insure a bit. The pay insurance now is about $1,000, right?
Yeah, minimum premium would be somewhere around there.
Right. So suppose now I don't get an accident for 20 years, right? And I got in an accident. Say I got an accident, when the premium get taken out, I'm going to still have to pay a higher premium on what I pay. That still exists?
Sorry, Shane, can I go? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's not automatic. So you get a no claim discount, which is a discount on your motor premium if you don't have accidents. You're rewarded for your safe driving by getting no claim discounts, right? If you do have an accident, depending on the circumstances of the accident, your discount could be taken away or walked back, and that would increase the premium next year. But not in every accident, in every circumstance, is it absolute that if you get involved in an accident, your premium will go up next year. So there's a lot of misconception about this in the public, right? So sometimes people get a fender bender, what we call a fender bender, and they want to settle the claim themselves out of their own pocket because they don't want the insurance company involved to carry up the premium. But I would say to persons, that's never the best route to go. Please let the insurance company settle it, because it's not every circumstance that you get involved in an accident that your premium goes up next year. And your premium increase next year may not even be as much, even if it was to be increased, it may not be as much as it cost to the accident. So don't assume that if you drive 20 years and get involved in an accident that next year your premium will go up. That's not the correct assumption, caller. So I do encourage people to keep going to your insurance company and to let them settle the claim. It doesn't mean that you will lose your no claim discount in every circumstance.
Okay, let's take a quick pause here, and we'll come back in a few moments as we talk about insurance, and you're right here on the People's Business. Thank you for staying with us here on the People's Business, and that goes out to you callers waiting on the phone line. Just please be patient. We'll try to get in as much as you as possible tonight. We know you have many questions for Randy, David, and Anton as they're spending some time with us talking about insurance and you. So let's go right back to the phone lines. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question or comment?
Good night, gentlemen. Good night, Shane. The question, or rather both question and comment, is with the conversation in terms of the amount that the inputs are going up and the inability to control the price of insurance, etc., etc. My question is then, not to be facetious, but how then are the profits that are in the posted in things like the papers and publications, then how then are they split after the fact if we put in out statements for insurance companies and banks, etc.? And if then, is it not aware that some of those profits, which will be after the fact, cannot be then